We look at three options to add some scoring pop to the San Jose Sharks middle six.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we're going to be looking at three forward options for the San Jose Sharks as they look to add some scoring pop in that middle six. Andrew Mangiapane, we're going to be looking at Anthony Beauvillier, and then Victor Olofsson, all kind of veteran players who have been known to score occasionally in the past. So before we start looking at these guys, do want to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. All right, as I start all these episodes, just a gentle reminder, the San Jose Sharks, of course, have over $40 million in cap space heading into the offseason and have to spend around roughly $20 million just to comfortably get over the cap floor. So that is why we've been very heavy in the free agency this offseason, because the Sharks have to sign players just to comfortably get over the cap floor. And the Sharks want to get better, right? So we're looking at players who, again, kind of fit that mold of they can come in and they can help out for a couple of years as you wait for your Quentin Musties, Chernyshovs, et cetera, for those guys to kind of grow into their expected roles. So that's why we're looking at some of these players. And let's start with Andrew Mangiapane. So one, super fun to say, Mangiapane, to a player who I think might fit what the San Jose Sharks are looking for. So Mangiapane, 5'10", 183 pounds, left winger, left-handed shot, former sixth-round pick of the Calgary Flames in the 2015 draft, played with the Barrie Colts back in the day. He has played 8 seasons in the NHL, most of that time with Calgary, where he's played 7 seasons with Calgary, and the last year he spent 1 year with the Washington Capitals. He's played 498 games in that time, 123 goals, 120 assists, 243 points during his NHL career. This last season, like I said, he spent with the Washington Capitals. So let's kind of dig into this previous season. So coming off a 3-year deal at $5.8 million, he was traded to the Capitals this offseason. He's scored, he played 81 games, 14 goals, 14 assists, 95 shots on goal, playing about 13.02 average time on ice. Corsi force when he was on the ice. He and the Capitals outshot the opposing team, or took more shot attempts, at 52.76%. And he was on the ice for 50.91% goals for. So they had positive goals for. Mangiapane, if you look at his evolving hockey card, so kind of playing third, kind of at even strength, kind of third line minutes there, fourth, third line minutes, 59th percentile player, 24th percentile defensively, 93rd percentile offense. Didn't get much time on the power play, as you would kind of expect, right? And then didn't get much shorthanded time either. Very good defensively. Again, kind of limiting goals above replacement, limiting expected goals above replacement. His expected goals above replacement was actually really solid, but his goals above replacement was not so great. So there's some potential meat on the bone there. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. Looking at his WAR over the past 3 seasons, had a real big drop in the 23-24 season, his last year with the Calgary Flames before he got traded, but bounced back this year. So the average kind of the past 3 years has been a 41% WAR player, but this year is closer to 75% after kind of jumping down to 25%. kind of in that 82% off even strength offense, 63% even strength defense over the past 3 years. The finishing 12%. Keep an eye on that. Hasn't had to face the toughest competition, but has also not had the greatest teammates, of course. So looking at his usage chart, kind of looked as a average bottom six forward. Doesn't get, again, a lot of offensive zone starts, but also doesn't face tough competition, at least this last season for the Washington Capitals. So, like I said, Mangiapane, he's a guy who's coming off a big contract. A couple years ago, and kind of the story with Mangiapane, right, is a couple years ago, he scored 35 goals in the 21-22 season, and then promptly signed a massive deal. And you thought Mangiapane was going to be this guy worth, almost $6 million a season. Past couple years has not been scoring at the same rate. So he's pretty consistent, though, when it comes to the scoring. Like 19-20 season, 17 goals in 68 games. The 2021 season, 18 goals in 56 games. He had that big outbreak of 35 goals in 82 games. And then the next year, 22-23 season, 17 goals in 82, 14 in 75, and 14 in 81 this year, while seeing his ice time really drop with the Washington Capitals this year. So, I think with Mangiapane, you're kind of betting on, again, I don't think he's going to be a 35 goal scorer ever again, but you could probably pencil in, 17, 18 goals a season with Mangiapane. And the Sharks, who as we've discussed multiple times, suck at scoring goals. So having more options who can score goals makes a lot of sense. Mangiapane is a player who I think would fill in that middle six for you and do a good job with it. He's a good defensive forward, and while he didn't get time shorthanded last year, I think he could be a guy who maybe earns shorthanded time for the San Jose Sharks because, again, we know that's an area where I think they're going to have to try to allocate more resources to. I think Mangiapane could be a solid PKer for the Sharks. What does a potential contract look like for Mangiapane? So this is from Evolving Hockey, who I think, again, I will continue to ride or die with Evolving Hockey. I think they do the best contract projections. So Mangiapane is projected to sign a 4-year deal at $4.2 million. They have a 47% likelihood that is what he signs. The next closest is they have a 5 and a 6-year deal, both those getting closer to $5 million, and then a 3-year deal at $3.7 million. So most likely he's going to sign a 4-year deal at $4.2 million. Mangiapane, who's 29 right now, and he just turned 29 in April. So this is a deal that's going to take him kind of through his age. Potentially take him through his age 33 season. So I think for the San Jose Sharks, Mangiapane, again, maybe he can spike, not up to 35 goals, but he could potentially have another 20 goal type or a 20 goal type of season. But I think he's a guy where you can comfortably schedule and put in 15 to 20 goals a season for him. And maybe you have that season where, again, I don't think 35 goals is in the cards again, but I think you could potentially have a maybe 25 goal season out of him if everything goes right for him. And I think he does a good job. The numbers say he does a good job, kind of limiting goals and helping the defense, which we know the Sharks also need to do, right? And he can drive offense. I think he's a potential solid two-way player for the San Jose Sharks to look at here. And yes, he didn't play as much last year, which would be, you can kind of understand, especially on the Washington Capitals team. And, I think he would probably fit. I think he would easily play his power play 2 unit for San Jose. And I think he'd have more of an opportunity there. And he's a guy who has scored with previous stops. So it makes sense to me, especially for the Sharks that they're, again, you got to try to find some middle six wingers right now who can fill some holes and fill some gaps. And as you wait for your Musties and Chernyshovs and all these other guys to play, to kind of get ready. And I think Mangiapane can be one of those guys. And as he as the Sharks get better, right, and maybe he slides down the lineup a little bit, I still think he can be an effective player, as we saw this season with the Washington Capitals, who were one of the best teams in the NHL this year, right? And he was an effective player playing 13 minutes a night for them. I think he could eventually kind of do the same thing for San Jose. So yeah, he's the first guy we're going to look at. We're going to be looking at Anthony Beauvillier, who's like the most steady middle six guy ever. And why can't he continue to just be a steady middle six guy for the Sharks here in just 1 second? The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. It feels like if the Pacers are going to win, it's going to be a close game, at least so far in the finals. And if the OKC wins, it feels like it might be a bit of a blowout. So do with that what you will, or just Halliburton to score points, because watching Halliburton score points, pretty fun so far. So if you're new to FanDuel, it's a perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, before we continue with Anthony Beauvillier, do of course want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. If you haven't yet, perfect time to subscribe. Next week, starting Monday, we do the simulated off season where I put on my GM hat, pretend to be Mike Greer, and put together my off-season plan of what I think the Sharks should do that is realistic, right? So all these reports and all these profiles and everything that we've been doing, we're going to be putting them to good use next week and try to put together a plan that makes the Sharks better this offseason, but also keeping long-term flexibility and health paramount for San Jose. So make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Okay, let us switch over to, like I said, Anthony Beauvillier. So Beauvillier is a guy who's bounced around the last couple of seasons, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But 5'11", 180-pound left winger, left-handed shot, former first-round pick of the Islanders in the 2015 draft. He played in the Q before that as well. Past couple seasons, like he's been a bit of a journey, we'll just say, for Beauvillier. But he's played 9 years in the NHL, 631 games, 131 goals, 140 assists, 271 points, 7 years with the Islanders. Of course, he was then traded from the Islanders over to the Canucks for Bo Horvat. And that was in January 2023. The following season, he was traded from the Canucks to the Blackhawks in 2022 for a fifth-round pick. Then he was traded from the Blackhawks to the Preds, signed as a free agent the last offseason with the Penguins, and then he was traded from the Penguins to the Caps at the trade deadline for a second-round pick. So this is a guy who, in the last 3 seasons, has played for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different teams in the past 3 seasons. So I assume he kind of wants to maybe settle down for 20 minutes. It would be my guess, right? So that's why I do think maybe a team like the Sharks would make a lot of sense, because I'm sure they would be happy to give him kind of maybe the Wenberg thing, where you give him a year of no trade, just you can hang out, we're not going to trade you for a little bit. Maybe makes a lot of sense. So he just turned 28 literally a couple of days ago. So he's, still going to be kind of in his prime, or kind of in that prime window right now. But the last couple of seasons, this is a guy who's basically available most of the time. He played 81 games this year. Last year he played 60 with, again, getting traded with 3 teams, but 82, 75, 47 in the weird COVID year, but like he's a guy who's, going to be pretty available for you. And like you're looking with him as a guy who's probably going to score 15 to 20 goals a season, and he's probably going to put up 20 points a year, 20 assists a year for you. So let's dig into his numbers a little bit this year between the Penguins and the Caps. So signed a 1-year deal at $1.25 million. Like I said, played 81 games this year, 15 goals, 10 assists, 149 shots on goal, playing under 13 minutes a night. Corsi for 52.23%, goals for 50.63%. Playing kind of between that second and third line minutes, 73%, at least at even strength, 73% player, 47 percentile offensively, 86 percentile defensively. Not much special teams time, which is, again, you're going to have more people in front of you with both those teams, even though the Penguins are the Penguins, but they have much more star-studded team in front of them. So didn't really earn a lot of special teams time. But over the past 3 seasons, he's been a 23% WAR player. But this last year had a huge bounce back. So past 2 seasons, again, a lot of trades, a lot of movement for him. 24-25, bounce back was over a 50% WAR player. Even strength offense hasn't been super great, kind of in that 26 percentile, but the defense has been solid there. The finishing has been okay at kind of meh at 21%, but he's faced kind of solid competition, has had solid teammates as well. His utilization averaged top 6 two-way forward. This is with both the Penguins, or this with the Caps here, at least with this one. So in a short time with them. So I think the case for Anthony Beauvillier is you're just getting a super steady player, right? And I know the production the past 2 years, when you bounce around that much, like I get it. And I think having a steady place where I'm going to at least be here for a season or two, the hope is he can kind of get back to what we saw from him earlier in his career, where he was, putting up pretty efficient and pretty steady numbers year after year, and I think, again, 15 to 20 goals, 15 to 20 assists. So like a guy who's probably going to be floating around 35 to 40 points a year for you. The Sharks just need more players like that right now. I don't think he does anything like super fantastic, and there's probably a reason why he's been traded 1,000 times over the past couple of seasons. But I think for a guy who, again, was, looked at by the Caps as a guy to kind of come in and help solidify their bottom 6, probably going to play more opportunity to play more middle 6 for San Jose. But again, as your younger players start to infiltrate, I think he could gracefully kind of slide down the lineup for you over the next couple seasons. And his contract projection, not super bad either. So he is projected to sign a 3-year deal at $2.646 million at 25% likelihood. Could also see a 2-year deal at about $2.5 million, 21% likely, or a 4-year deal that jumps up to about $3.6 million, 20% likelihood. So most likely you're going to get this guy for a 3-year deal. Maybe you do 2 seasons of kind of some trade protections and stuff, just to kind of help let him find a home for more than 20 minutes, and he's not getting traded 70 times in the next, in 3 seasons. Let him kind of settle down. And I think he'd be a really, really solid option for San Jose in that middle 6. Again, I don't think there's nothing where he's going to kind of overwhelm you, but he's a very cromulent NHL player, and the Sharks just need more cromulent NHL players right now. And I think I think Beauvillier could be that guy for San Jose. And again, 3 years, he just turned 28. That's going to put him through his age 31 season. So you'll be getting out kind of at the right time with him as well. Or maybe you kind of see how he does over the next season or two. And then if the Sharks are starting to kind of make a run, you can do that. If they're still kind of in this weird phase, maybe he's a potential trade candidate. Like I think offering him some flexibility, just like you did with the Wenberg contract, would make a lot of sense as well. Of like, you can stay here for, like, we're not going to trade you this season type of thing, and So, and just a consistent, steady guy, which I think would be a big upgrade over some of the players that we've seen kind of come in and out over the past couple of years. So, not the sexiest to name, guys. Like this is going to be a very meat and potatoes free agency. So, and like that's fine. Like it's fine to have a meat and potatoes free agency because the Sharks, they kind of need to put some weight on. So, we're going to look at a guy who might be an inexpensive option that could potentially go off for some points. So we'll dig into Victor Olofsson here in just 1 minute. You just realized your business needs to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast, easy? Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs put your posts at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. If you've ever been in a spot where you need to hire like yesterday, the pressure's on, and every day without the right person is a setback, that's exactly when Indeed sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. All right. I do want to, again, thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. If you haven't yet, go check out the Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. All right. Next guy here, Victor Olofsson. So, guy who might be a very much a kind of buy low candidate here. So Olofsson, former 7th round pick of the Buffalo Sabres back in the 2014 draft. 5'11", 180 pounds, left-handed shot right winger. This past season played with the Vegas Golden Knights, but a guy who's spent majority of his career with the Buffalo Sabres. In 7 seasons, he has 370 games, 105 goals, 106 assists for 211 points. Like I said, 6 seasons with the Sabres, 1 year here with the Vegas Golden Knights. And just some potential scoring options. So 3-time 20-goal scorer, put up 20 in his second season, or his first full season, in the 1920 season. Also put up 20 in the 21-22 season, then put up 28 in the 22-23 season. Down season in the 23-24, and then a little bit of a bounce back season here with Vegas. Guy, though, who has struggled with some injuries over the past couple years. Only played 56 games this year, played 51 games the year before that. So just something to keep in mind. He did have an ankle injury beginning of the season, beginning of the season with Vegas that kind of cost him some time, but still put up some pretty solid numbers in that time. So coming off a 1-year deal at $1.075 million. He's 30 years old, just turned 30, or no, he turns 30 here next month. So this will be his age 30 season. Like I said, 15 goals in 56 games, 14 assists, 109 shots on goal, playing about 14:30 average time on ice. 54% Corsi for, which is really crazy. 68.63% goals for, which even crazier. So when he's on the ice, typically good things were happening for Vegas, which gross. But anyway, so kind of, again, playing around that second line minutes at even strength, didn't get much power play time, kind of that second unit power play, not playing on the PK, but 79th percentile player. 67th percentile offense, 93rd percentile defense with him. So a guy who's going to, when he's on the ice, again, positive things were happening for him. Looking at it as WAR, 77th percentile WAR over the past 3 years. Basically was 75 percentile 22-23. 23-24 had a massive drop with the Buffalo Sabres. 24-25 back up to a 75 percentile player. So makes you think maybe the 23-24 season was just a dip. The even strength offense during that time, okay-ish, like, or 9%, but all the other numbers are really, really positive there. Like, he played solid competition. The finishing was very nice at 91%. Like, this is a guy who's, again, like, he's doing positive things when he's on the ice at even strength. Was utilized with Vegas this year as an average top 6 two-way forward. So didn't face the toughest of competition and got solid offensive zone starts, which you would expect with Vegas, who's very good at controlling the play and keeping the puck in their own zone. I think the thing with Olofsson that makes him so intriguing is the potential contract with him. And yes, the Sharks do have to spend $20 million at some point and somewhere, and you can't just sign a bunch of contracts. You can't sign 10 guys to $2 million contracts, but Olofsson, I think, is a guy who you could sign to a cheap contract and he could easily outperform his contract. Like, we don't want to just burn money because we have money. We still want to try to find good value. And I think Olofsson is a guy who could provide very good value for his contract. So he's projected to sign a 2-year deal at $2.3 million. Basically 30% likelihood that he signs that. Next, most likely is a 3-year deal at $2.9 million or a 4-year deal at $3.8 million. It says 22 and 20% likelihood, or a 1-year deal at like $1.6 million, which is also like 20% likelihood. So most likely he's probably going to sign a 2-year deal, right? And maybe, again, doing the Wenberg thing of, we'll protect you the first year, and then we'll have some protections the second year, but you're probably going to be if you come here, you're going to have a bunch of opportunities to score a bunch of goals because the Sharks just need more guys to score goals. Victor Olofsson, like, professional goal scorer, like, say what you will, the dude can score goals. And yes, he had that one down season where in 51 games, he had 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points on a down season with the Sabres, but he clearly had fallen out of favor that year, where he's playing less than 12 minutes a night. I think if you look back at like some of his other times there where like he's playing 15, 16, 17 minutes a night, this is a guy who can put up 40 to 50 points for you. You know, in that 22-23 season, he had 28 goals, 12 assists for 40 points. In the 21-22 season, he had 72 games. He had 20 goals, 29 assists, 49 points. Like, you're going to give him opportunities if you give him a solid playmaker, like a Will Smith, or especially a Will Smith, right? And then again, I know not the biggest guy, but if you maybe find a little bit more beef on that line and you let Will Smith kind of set him up, I don't see why he can't continue to be hover around that 20 goals for you. And again, the Sharks need more guys who can just put the puck in the back of the net. And I think for that contract, like, sign me up for that, because I think that is a very nice contract. And I think it's a very inexpensive option for you to find some offense on a team that desperately needs to find more offense. So Olofsson, wouldn't be the first guy I signed. But if it's, if free agency starts at 9 a.m. and it's about lunchtime and we hear Victor Olofsson is like the second or third signing, and Victor Olofsson signs a 2-year deal at, 2.5 or whatever the cost was, I think that's going to be a really under the radar type of move for San Jose, which I think could pay really, really well for you. And you just basically shake off that 23-24 season as just a bad year. And he's been very, very productive in his time. And even on bad teams like the Sabres, and on good teams like like Vegas. And if he was healthy this whole season, I assume, 15 goals in 56 games is not bad. And if he was around 75, he's probably over 20 goals this last year with Vegas. So, yeah, I think Olofsson is a guy that Mike Grier should be interested in, especially at that contract. Like that's somebody I think would make a lot of sense as a guy who would easily outperform his contract. So that's going to be it for me today. We will be back on Monday to start the simulated off season. So Monday we'll be kind of doing all the in-house keeping, looking at guys I'm signing, looking at guys I'm not qualifying, all that fun stuff. Guys I'm looking to trade. All that stuff starts on Monday. So make sure you follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Till Monday. Bye, friends.